Thank you for coming. I know it's a small group, and I think it is going to be an interesting sharing. So we refrain from asking things like, sister, how to go to the home, how to apply to the home. We refrain from that, okay? So that I can have more time with you all to share things that about aging. So we also have experts here to listen and all this. And I think this is a very important thing. The theme of the whole celebration is about innate and shine. And there is no age limit. Whatever age you are, you can still shine and you can still give life. Whether you are able or not able, you can still shine. Whether if you are sick or you are old, you can still shine. Not only for the young, shining is also for us. For being shining, it's a difference. So I am Sister Geraldine Tan. I'm a Canossian sister. There were one or two slides that I have made, but it has disappeared through the transaction. And I work with the Catholic Welfare Services in St. Joseph Home. Catholic Welfare Services started in 1959, and it is actually meant to help with the poor. And the main thing is to embrace the preciousness of life. Preciousness of life. And they run 3 or 4 nursing homes: St. Joseph, Villa Francis, St. Teresa's, and St. Vincent Home. So there are others, the homeless services and all this. So these are some of the work. So we work in St. Joseph. I have been in St. Joseph since 1985. Since 1985. So it's a big home, but there are a lot of precious people there. So how do we address, in the society today, how do you address the elderly, or they call it? You can address a senior citizen, you can address them as the elderly, the aged, whatever we call them, we are still growing old. So it is a matter of acceptance that life is a process. And the return is that, we think that calling them seniors, is it a little bit rude? Calling them aged, is it a little bit rude? If you know that life is precious and it is a process of life, you don't bother what they call you. See, once when we were younger, people used to address us, Xiao Mei. Now you call Auntie. The next time we call Granny. It's life, that's life. Whatever age you are, just celebrate with it. So how old is old, you think? What is your age? What about you? What's your, how old you think is old? How old age? Yes. 80? 80? Good. All right. 80? Anyone younger? 100?
There are 3 groups of,
Huh?
there are 3 types of
3 types of aging. Yeah, 3 types of old.
young old, mid old, old.
Sure, no. Young old, old.
Young old, mid old, old.
Yes, those are the 3 types of old that you think, huh? So you are supposed to be in the 60s and 70s, you are the young old. We call the teenager. You are the teenager because then you have celebrate the older, the old are those above 90, right? And the 80s plus are the really old. And whatever, so she will know these are the different things. So, but in the Gospel, in the Bible itself, he said Genesis, and the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive with man forever, but indeed flesh 120 years old. Doesn't mean that it's really 120. It is the age, the fulfillment. So that is it. And you also have, Moses was 120 years when he dies, yet his eyes were not big, nor his strength gone. That means it is the vibrancy of life. They still can be they still can shine. So age has no limits to what you want to do to witness to God. Every minute you can can witness to God in pain, in sorrow, in joy, and in whatever way it is. So you look at the life expectancy. This one is like different country, and there is Singapore. Yeah. So it's about 83.66. That is our expectancy at this stage, at this time, 2 years ago, 2020. So different. So we have developed Hong Kong, Japan, Macau, Switzerland, Singapore, Spain, Italy, and Iceland. So this is where we are. Then Singapore life expectancy from 1950 to 2020. You see that the healthcare system in Singapore has improved a lot. From the 50-something now, we are at this stage. Maybe it's about 2020, but it's 80-something. Before, the mortality was very low. So when you listen to, we have a lot of foreign staff coming from Myanmar, for example, and they said, "Sister, I'm wishing my mother happy birthday." I said, "Oh, how old is she?" Today she turned 52, very old already. What? 52 is very old. But because that is their life expectancy. They age and they die young. So from 50 onwards, they begin to retire, they begin to be at home, and then look after to wait for the days to enjoy themselves. So he said it's very old. So it's very old. So I said, wow, it's very old. That means all of us are overworked. Because at that stage, it's very old. So it's a very important thing that we also need to understand their mentality. Okay, some of these things that are a little bit lost now. So I think to have old age and to be healthy, is it easy to maintain? No. So we have some of the statistics here, like stroke. In Singapore, there are 150,000, and Parkinson, 7,000 to 8,000. So all these are different diseases that we have. So you look at it, you look at yourself. I think I'm fearful of aging. It is your responsibility to keep yourself active. It is your responsibility. What do people associate with aging? Once upon a time, you look at yourself, you look outside. And sometimes they say, older people, you ask the younger children, older people always get sick. Is it true or not? True? No? Yeah, you change that. These are some of the myths. Memory loss is an inevitable part of aging. True? It's not. Sometimes the younger one forget much better, more than us. Today, the younger generation cannot retain that much. They depend on a lot of IT. Sorry, the younger ones are not because of anything. It's just, then as you age, you get wrinkle, you get ugly. True. Is it alright to have wrinkles? Right. But the cosmetic company made a lot of money so that you can make beautiful. Yeah, it's good to look after ourselves. These are aging process. There's no harm if you get something to make yourself pretty. There's no harm in that. But don't overdo it. And change your nose to another size, not so good. So it's the ability to accept as you progresses in age. Some people are lonely, some people are grumpy. Sometimes they are self-made. And not because they are like that. So you have to really understand them. As you work with the older people, you will understand them. They're actually very beautiful. Very beautiful. Like in my home, one of the main things that when new staff come to me is that you learn to harvest smile. You learn to harvest the smile among the residents, among the older people. That means today you can harvest them. And not only that, if you smile, they will smile back. But look at those that have never smiled before. How are you able to harvest that smile from them? And this is one of the SOP. Learn to harvest the smile. Especially those that one at the corner who have no friends. In nursing home, when you are very popular, you have a lot of friends. But when you are very grumpy, you have no friends. So you, if you are coming to volunteer with me, I will tell you, look for those who are lonely. Adopt the person who are difficult. That's a call. The easy one, very easy. When you do volunteerism, it is volunteer. You need to be able to encounter someone and give life to that someone, or that someone gives you life. You have to touch others under Christ's hand. The touch ministry is so beautiful. What do they mean by touch ministry? It's touch others under Christ's hand. So every time when you touch someone, it's giving the Christ peace to that person. And Christ's peace is always within the person, between the people who work around the own, and also among the people. So it's always that team spirit that gives the older people that we look after the joy. Then there are old people need walking frame and wheelchair. True or not? You just think of yourself now. Not that you just bought a flat. For example, you are buying a flat. The first thing you look at it, is it wheelchair friendly or not? So we anticipate in the aging process that you will end up like that or like that. As long as you say, is there enough space? No clutter. We always imagine, this one must be wheelchair friendly. So when I grow older, I cannot walk, I have to do this. I think the mentality in our Asian culture sometimes a little bit different. Very commonly said is that when my grandmother said, I cannot walk anymore. So you say, okay grandma, I'll give you a frame or a wheelchair. But we have never thought of sending her to strengthen her muscle, sending her to do some exercise. Now we are at that level. If you can't walk, we send you for gym tonic. Gym tonic is a set of machines that if you come to the home, you'll see a set of machines that the older people will use. And it is really made for those after 55 years old. And it is really to cultivate their muscle so that they can walk and be independent. So the older people also love to learn, So when we have the digital camera, when the first time we started, we give the students will bring their camera and let the resident go to the different part of the garden to take photographs. Let them take whatever, because this digital one you can actually delete. So whatever they see, they will take, and then you have a little competition. So these are things that give life. In nursing home, if they cannot go out, but you must bring life in. You have to bring life in so that the whole home can become like a city of joy. There's a little bit of activities. So I ask you this question, and you think you have to answer a bit. Maybe not to answer it yourself. Is aging burden or burden for you?
I think it will be a burden if you are not physically healthy.
Okay.
You cannot take care of yourself.
Cannot take care of yourself
and others as well.
Then you see as burden. Okay, that's fair. The two gentlemen, is it aging or burden? Aging is burden or golden?
I think to me, aging, as you can see, you come to a point in life when your kids are older,
Yes.
they've grown up, they've got their own lives, and therefore it's a golden opportunity to do things that you want to do but never found time for.
Yeah.
The freedom to do so, whether it's to serve or to take on recreational hobbies. Yeah.
Part of life, huh?
Yeah.
And I got this question and I went around to ask my resident. So she said very simple. When I have plenty of money, it's golden. If I can travel, I can go on the cruise. No, but if I'm always lying in the bed, for me it's burden. Burden for myself, burden for you, burden for that. And that is exactly that kind of burden that we want to help the older people to accept it with joy, with faith, and with fidelity to God. Because whatever condition they are in, God looks at them, God is at them. No? And the whole home, when there is a suffering in the whole place like that, it is a Calvary ground, but a Calvary ground with hope. You want to give that hope to them. So she was trying to say that if I am sick, if I am thin, then I say, if you are sick and if you feel yourself a burden, then what happens? He said, you have to employ nurses to look after me, my family. I said, and then what happened to that nurse? The nurse got a job. And then he can look after the family. So when we slowly put it that sense, oh, so when I'm sick, I'm actually helping them too to find to have a job. So it is a whole kind of scenario that we put them into it. I said, oh, okay. So I said, you cannot walk, but can your hands move? Yes, can move. And what do you want to do with your hands? I can do many things. So that with that many things, you have no leg to walk, but we can make your hand powerful, make your hand resourceful, make your hands that whatever you can pay, you can do whatever. So you create new life. So that becomes golden for them. For those families who have a lot of grandchildren and all this, for them it's still golden. So it is us, the attitude. And that it all depends on your attitude to aging. As well as I said, it's part of life. And also your behavior. I see that the way we treat the older person is the way sometimes we will treat ourselves next time. Right? I lived with my grandmother. I have two grandmothers when I was until the age of 17, I lost my great-grandmother. You see, so I'm always with old people. And I love them. So when I'm 5 years old, I said, I want to be a nurse to look after them. And then she looked at me and said, if you have to be a nurse to look after me, then when I die, you are no more in nursing. I said, then you better join and okay, look after everyone my age as though you are your grandpa and grandma. So that gives me life. So I remember my grandmother sat me on her lap and said, it is good that you want to be a good nurse so that you can give me a painless injection because I saw her in pain with it. But when grandma is no more here, your nursing, the good nurse will die. But it is important that you look at the person that comes to you for help as grandma, forever as grandma. Then you will be very kind, very gentle, and very, very, I would say, caring, because she is grandma. So it took me a long time, so but I liked it. So it also depends on your choices. You choose. Many things is your choice. If someone asks you, can we go out to the garden? Can we go out to the garden by the bay? No. Very difficult, hard to walk. And I always must look for the toilet. That's the usual thing some older people will tell you, right? Too cold, too hot, or whatever. So these are little things that we see. Decisions. Once you decide, what you decide to do. You decide to age sadly or age happily. It's all up to you. Then you evaluate, after a while, say, before I thought that, aging is like that. Now, I think it all depends on me. Life has to go on. If I'm using the walking frame, the only time that I can graduate is to a walking stick. True? Then you go to a walking stick. And then after that, you can maybe walk on your own, a little bit at a time. One of my residents is always very positive. So when she's a very independent person, very independent lady, very good cook. And when she had fractured her leg, and she said she cannot walk on her own. So the doctors give her a walking frame. And she wrote in her diary, I'm so grateful to God. I said, you're grateful to God. I was born with 2 legs, but today I have 4. Now I have 6 legs. That's the walking frame 4, and her 2 own legs 6. So she proudly told us that I am being upgraded to 6-legged. So it's the joy that she brought. So I brought her to another room to share her experience. She said, don't worry. As long as we can still move from this place to that place, you thank God for it. There are those who cannot. So looking at the positive part of life. Then there's ages in the Bible. The Bible always, like I said, old age is always a blessing. Wisdom is with age, and understanding in the length of day. You are asked different. We have a conference a few years back, and we asked the different countries to stop about aging. And when we came to an African country, and this African man said, for us, when an old person dies, it is like the burning down of a library. It's like a whole library being burned down. I said, what do you mean by that? Because for us in our country, an old person knows everything about the history. They know our plants, they know our fruits, they know many things. Then the minute they die, all these things are gone, unless you learn from them. So it is like a library being burned down. So it is a very, very beautiful insight, Some of us, with families, and we have grandparents. He said the minute that my grandmother passed on, or whoever passed on, you have to make an effort to come together. Before that, it was when grandma is there, everybody will be there. Because that is the draw of unity. And the old person draws people together, the young and the old. Then they still bear fruits, there's even full of sap, still green. You have also Sarah, Abraham, Sarah's wife. They give all this birth at an older age. That means they have reached that wisdom, the fidelity of God. Okay, this one of the, I think from German, she came. She's 94, and she's still a gymnast. She was in Singapore. Have you all been see her? She came for an aging conference, 94. I think she has always aspired to be a gymnast. And then the World War broke up, and then she has to give up, raise a family. And at 50 plus, she started to train for gymnastics again. So that's where she is. And she came, she came to St. Joseph, we were quite, she can do somersault at 94. And this is our old lady that sells something, I think, kway chap. She's also in her 93. So she said at 93, she still remembers the recipe. She still gives the son advice, and she's still at the store. Very nice. Then, of course, Miss Sue, I think you all have heard of her. She died when she was 107. She was the one who started the Society of the Aged Sick, the home, in Payolai. So this is Miss Sue, so at 93. So the truth of older people, when you look at the older people, you only think of 2 things. They say some are very serene, very calm, they do things. Some are quite angry. Angry and all. There are only 2 flavors. They say only 2, whether you are happy or not happy. More than that, in between, very hard to see. So they said, I said, can you, sister going to give talk, what are you going to ask me to tell the people? And this old lady said, you just tell them, aging only got 2 flavors. I said, what flavor? Some are very calm, some are just very sour. It's like very angry, control, demanding, like stay in prison by the past. Many of us are imprisoned by our past. The past is gone, the past is gone. So if you are living on the past, you have never grown. You have never grown up. So I see it as a very beautiful thing that we give opportunity. Like Catholic Welfare Services, they want to give opportunity. They kind of give life, preciousness of life. Whatever we can, we give to the older person to make their life different. That's why we have a beautiful home and all this. And say, not everybody live life able to have a bed by themselves or whatever. Cooked food that are cooked for them. So at the last lap of life, can we give them something? Let them enjoy, and that's it. So in aging, important is the unforgiveness is very important. Learn to be forgiving. Whatever hurts that we have, we just take it. Otherwise, it will be very burdensome. You'll not be able to enjoy that part of the life that you're supposed to. Then that is this one. Growing old is actually compulsory, but growing up is optional. You cannot stop. You cannot celebrate birthday. Balik your age, you go forward. So it is a compulsory thing to grow old, but it's optional to grow up. Growing up means how you age. It's your choice, like what Sister said, it's your choice. So today, like when I came in, I said, someone approached me, I want to go to your home, want to volunteer. I feel so happy because it has to draw life. A home has to draw life. That people are interested to come to work. But I have good friends who say that, Sister, I want to serve you, but until I retire, what for after you retire, come to me. I want you at your best, So you come and enjoy, So, of course, with this COVID, things are different. But once it's open, this will be the people that I want to bring you, to give life. Then you have the 5 stages of aging, and think this is where we are. At young, old, at 60-something, we may retire. We still have self-sufficiency. You still have your CPF. You still have your one-room flat or whatever. You still can go out to meet your friends. You are still self-sufficient. You can still take a plane and go for a bit of holiday. Then you come to have a time of independence. The couple, at first they are able to move. Secondly, you say, I must travel with my husband because he needs to carry my bag. Right? You say, now I have backache, so my husband needs to carry my bag. And nowadays, it's because of the IT and all this, they get a bit lost. So they won't know what to do, ticketing and everything. You cut them off for the time that they need to join the queue. Not everything online. So their fear is that, the minute I press a button, must pay more. So they always had the fear, cancel my trip. So the fear is there. So, we get independent. So the third stage is dependency. Dependency, that means I can't cook now. My husband has to cook for me. I cannot go out. And we all depend on each other. Then there is a crisis management. This crisis management, when you had a fall. When you have a fall, you have to go to hospital. You go to rehab. And then you come back and you start again your dependency. So the crisis management, they are all with different processes. So after the whole of this thing, you of course at the end of life. So these are actually the 5 stages. So where are we? Majority of them are at this dependency stage in the nursing home. That means they're too ill to be looked after at home. So they're still there. Then the end of life issue is in the home, the advanced care planning or whatever, what you want to do. So of course with the nursing home like us, we still need to help them to think, about the God. God is still, not all of them are Catholics, but we know that the surrender of life to whatever faith that your peace is the peace that we want to bless them with. So the peace is very important at the end of life and the enjoyment of God. And one of them who was dying, he said to me, Sister, I know that
when I die, I go to heaven, you know. But it's from the bed to heaven that I'm frightened. How to, you know, I'm afraid of pain, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid that, don't know where I'll go. So there's a real fear. And when you have real fear, that is where you have to accompany them through prayer and through all these things. So these are beautiful insight that I share with you an occasion that I was visiting a hospital, NUH, and they called me because there was this old lady in her 90s, you know, hunchback, and she was looking after the husband, called the husband John. So this lady, Emma said, "Sister, come." So I went to visit her. I said, "You see, John is here. 2 days I've been here, but he is not, Jesus is not taking him." So I said, "What happened?" He said, "Yes, I'm sitting here. I'm also tired." I said, "Emma, why don't you tell him, say a prayer for him that you give him permission." So what she did was very beautiful. She told him, "Hey, John, we are married for so many years. We have 2 children, you know, but we are married, but God did not say that we will die together. You go first, and I will follow." So the minute she blessed him with that, he died. You know, so he said, "Sister, so simple." He said, you just give that permission. And she said, "I waited 2 days. I didn't know what she wanted." And after a while, he spoke to me and said, "Actually, he has been a very obedient man. When I sent him down for food, if there's no chicken rice, he'll come up. And what do you want?" He would not say to get an alternative. He always wants the best one. And by giving that permission, so that is his permission. She gave that permission, and he passed on. It was very beautiful. When I witnessed that, I said, it was such a nice gesture. So these are common ageism like that we have, like old people useless, ignore their experiences and wisdom. So I think with this world, the IT world, the older people sometimes are isolated in terms of jobs, in terms of even being consulted at home. So now, even with the caregiver at home, now we have all those, like we call caregiver or domestic helper. A few of them have gone into depression because the role of the master of the house is being given to the maid. So she said, "Sister, I just refuse to talk." I said, "What happened?" "I'm quite angry with my daughter." I said, "Why?" When she's not around, when my daughter comes, "Mom, how are you? How was your day?" Now she entered the house, she asked, "Nancy, how is Mama?" As though I'm that stupid. So she said, as though I'm not present. So it's not right? So when there is things like that, I will usually meet the family and readdress the issue. He said, "I'm the master of the house, I have no house key." So I said, when you give the salary, can you ask your mother to give it to her? So she's in control. Hang her key, the house key, round her neck. So when she wants to go, say, "Mama, I'm going out." Not that she has the key and she said, "Can I go out?" "No, you cannot go out." So she felt very sad. So there was depression. So we have to rework at things in a different way. So old age comes from God. Old age leads us to God. And from the very beginning, I will say that letting go. So when you have a physical eyesight that declines, the spiritual eyesight increases. You know, when you cannot see, you cannot read, when you have that faith in God, God's praise within you. So this is very important. Thank you. See you. Call me. Okay, so when you want to start to be, you think that I'm aging now, what do I do? So there are some questions that, why am I still here? Does life still have meaning? What happened after I die? Will I be alone? These are questions that the older people will ask themselves secretly. Some of them even secretly. So I said, what makes the spiritual person, the old person spiritual? Sometimes when we watch Korean movie, And also the old people will cry. I say, why are you crying? I think if I'm not in St. Joseph home, I'll be like that. Because this one, that, this thing. So they can actually relate to what they see. How to make them, how they fire up with enthusiasm. I think there is one project that we have, it will be out quite soon, is 10 years ago we did a happy coffin project, how to design their coffin. This year we did a urn, how to design their own urn. So we got students from STUD to help them to design their own urn. And yesterday it was presented to them, about 8 of them. I think 6 of them had it. So it's something very beautiful to God. And then there is, these are sometimes you hear the older person say, I want to give up living. Right? They're not worth it. No, you have seen older people always say, I'm not me anymore. When suddenly they cannot walk, they come with the walking frame. They say, very painful to go out with this walking frame. You hide and then just hold me. So there's a lot of things. No one cares about me, I'm useless. So these are always the jargon that people used to say. Okay, we think that aging is something. Aging is about retirement, but it's not about retirement, it's your retirement. So we always remember, you change your tire. Not that you stop driving, you change your tire. So it is a retirement. That means this work I cannot do, I do another work. So it's a retirement. No more retirement, okay? Retire yourself. To do something that life you can still be worthy to like. So active living, active giving. So this is our neighbor, one of the kampong. They grow vegetables, and then they share among each other. So these are really, they are all in their 80s. Then there's spiritual tools that whatever way that you can find religion, you can find prayer. Many of you are attached to different churches, do different things. So keep yourself alive, because God is always alive in you. God is always, there's always fire in you, because it's God. Then they have all dancing, self-help therapy, whatever that you can make your life active, reaching out to people is also very useful. Then you have our serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, wisdom to know the difference. But the older people also have this prayer, They call it the personality prayer. They say, God grant me this to forget the people I never liked anyway, and then the good fortune to run into one that I do, and the eyesight to tell the difference. They also have the things to, what is no good, let it pass. You see? Let it pass. So there is the life in the old person. So any loneliness that we may feel in the later life, when touched by God's presence, becomes a place of solitude. When you have loneliness and all this, always tell ourselves that God is coming into us to show His presence, to show us how to move forward. And it's a new monastery of the elderly. Loneliness filled with God is the new monastery. It's a new place, a new space where God will come and give life. Sorry about all these slides. And this one, the Pope John Paul, is one of my favorite Pope. I think you all love him too. Because we witnessed him from the young to the older age. And he really walked his talk. He said that to provide care for the elderly, to protect life and its dignity until natural end, to enable elderly to remain self-sufficient and mobile, try our best to promote a culture that the elderly are accepted and loved, encourage the elderly to understand the evolution of the present-day society, help them to overcome the change. I'm very proud of the older people. For these 2 years, you have check in, check out. They were a bit confused, but now they are very good with it, better than me. One day I said, how can I do this thing? So this old man said, sister, I show you, like that. So proud, you know. And sometimes I make a little bit of effort, you know, these are good. And I say, can you help me? I always approach an older person to make them feel important. Always approach an older person to make them feel important. And to promote an intergeneration education that the young and old learn to coexist. And this is precisely why in St. Joseph Home we have the infant and child care unit, you know, within the home. That is to fulfill that church teaching to how to make them coexist. Okay, I cannot see all the words. You see, I'll show you the picture. This is palliative care when you want, at the end of life, when they support each other. This man is one of my residents. He has never painted, but now he is the best painter. We do an exhibition for them every now and then. So we exhibit. So donors will come and just buy the painting and all this. So it's an exhibition. And then we also have self-computer. Then you see, make friends. Then the young and the old, how they connect. Okay, Abraham, this is all our wishes that Abraham died a good old age with people around us. If you don't have people, we have God enough. Many of us are alone, and so it's to gather all his people, and that's where he is. To age joyfully is to befriend death. You cannot age joyfully with say that I don't want to die forever. I want to be alive. No. So you befriend death because this is the doorway to eternal peace. And say, aging itself is a vocation. Not all of us are blessed with old age. So if you are at old age, it is your vocation to live life. We always think of promotion of vocation, priesthood, religious life, I don't know what life, married life. But aging itself is a vocation. I want you all to understand, aging itself is a vocation. You want to live life, and that's where God will fill us with that life. Okay, again, retirement. This one, no. I think I don't have. I want to have one slide that is missing. It's okay. It's what about this Patch Adam. You're saying that at first I thought that loneliness is the saddest thing, but it's actually the people who make me lonely are the ones that make me sad. He had this story about this old man who brought his phone to the workshop, and the technician looked at it and he said, "Uncle, your phone is all right. Nothing wrong with the phone." And he looked up and he cried, "But why is that my children are not calling me? Why is that my children are not calling me?" So the phone itself is supposed to connect. You have it in your phone. But tonight, if you have not connected anybody that you love, your grandparents, your mother, or your father, make sure you do so. You have no excuse. Please call them, tell them how much you have loved them, and say thank you. Always be in a hurry to love them, because today they are here, tomorrow they are not. And God bless you. Thank you very much.